sugar gold or whatever. Cherry tomatoes doing absolutely wonderfully, beginning to stake them. I've got one stake in place, and I have to figure out two more because I'm having to use natural stakes at this point. There are no more stakes available at the stores, and there wasn't in the spring except for 2 packages that I had gotten. So we'll have to use natural stakes on those, no problem. I've got plenty of sticks around, so we will do that. And fennel doing amazing. As I had put in another video, that I have pulled the dirt up around the fennel. Fennel is looking amazing. After I did that, really beginning to fill out, and even are starting to have little heads on them, which will just continue to get bigger and bigger. And there are the 3 pepper plants that are just blooming. They don't have any peppers on them yet, but they have plenty of blooms, and they are getting pollinated because I am seeing the bees. I'm sorry about those sirens. We got sirens going on in this city all the time because I'm in a city. I'm in Cheyenne. And these are the zinnias and the calendulas. They are getting ready to bloom. Have got some heads on the calendula right there, and getting little heads on the zinnias as well. So looking forward to that. Going to have plenty of colors in here. They were mixed colors. And this is the other rhubarb, probably now the smaller of the plants, just because there's not a whole lot of room in here, but still beautiful looking rhubarb. This one has some nice color on it because it gets more sun exposure. And we have a tomato plant over here. Got some really nice tomatoes, getting some nice clusters of tomatoes in there. Quite a few going on. And the roses are doing amazing. The red ones are now blooming. The yellow ones are now at the end of their blooms. Got a couple more probably to pop out. And the lavender ones, which have a little tinge of dark pink on the edges, are just about through with their blooms as well. And this was their 3rd run of blooms. And that was the mini roses. And these were the 3 larger roses. I don't know if I'm going to get a second run of blooms on these because I did have to trim them back. I had some just crazy rose canes that were going on, so I did have to trim them back. So that may keep them from being able to bloom a second run. And usually when they bloom that second run, they're not really full of bloom like they are the first time around. So may have that going on. And an update on the onions. The onions just did not do anything, again, because of the damage from the hailstorm and a late frost and all these things factored into the onions just not doing anything. So I'm just gonna write that off as a failure for this season. Gotta do the failures and the successes. So that one is going to be a failure for the season. We will have to do farmers market onions and go with it from there. As for the tomatoes are doing still wonderful. Still have some really nice big super sauce tomatoes in there. They're just green and still needing to ripen, so they will be finishing out their season and doing that. I'm not sure if we will get a whole lot more of the fruit on the plants. They're still blooming, they're still being pollinated, so we'll find out. But loads and loads and loads of tomatillos. The plants are completely massive. In fact, they shaded out my black crim tomato plant here and have caused it to die off, I think. So, oh well. And then this was the super sauce tomato that I had up front because these were the 2 extra plants. This one not looking so great, but this one is doing fantastic. We do have tomatoes set on it. And it has more blooms, loads and loads of blooms on it, so I'm sure we will get some more on it. And again, the tomatillos are almost to the point of connecting to my petunias in the walkway, so that's interesting. So getting loads and loads of tomatillos on those. And this one over here is beginning to canopy all over the garden. So I'm just shocked at the size of the tomatillo plants. And then the cucumbers, we still don't have cucumbers. We've got loads and loads of blooms on these plants. These are the ones that are in the ground, but no cucumbers. It's pretty sad. This makes the second season that I've not had any cucumbers. Every season before that I had loads and loads of cucumbers and was able to make pickles and all kinds of stuff, but no cucumbers this time around either, it looks like. I mean, we still have some time, and they don't take very long once they get started, so I'm still hoping. And again, we had the white spine cucumbers in here, poinsett cucumbers, burpless cucumbers, and straight 8. That was the one straight 8 cucumber plant that I had left after the hailstorm. The rest of them I had to replant, and I guess it was just too late in the season, and just not enough time. I don't know. I just don't know. Because they've had plenty of fertilizing, but we will find out. I mean, we've still got plenty of growth going on with them, and these just started to putting on runners just a couple weeks ago. So we've still got some time, and hopefully they will pull out and do something. But there were about 12 to 16 plants in here, maybe 16 I think it was. So we'll see. We'll see if they have time to do anything. Plenty of blooms, but the thing is that I'm seeing loads and loads of male flowers, but I'm not seeing any female flowers, which would have the little tiny cucumber behind them. So again, like you can see here, loads and loads of male flowers, but not any female. So it's interesting. We shall see what happens. And here is the other trellis of beans that I have. They have made it and surpassed the top and have started curling back down. And they have beans on them. We've got beans going on. So they are blooming like crazy. Those are all going to become beans. So we should have quite a harvest out of these as well. And now, after everything was said and done, the noodle beans, the asparagus beans, are now starting to put on runners and wanting to do something after all this time. So we'll find out if they actually end up doing anything. Cilantro that I planted in front of them, beautiful. And then I have 6 of my pepper plants. I already pulled a pepper plant or a pepper off of them and ate one. So we've got still loads of blooms on these, and starting to set more fruit on them. And then the little spot that we have over here with just a little tiny patch of dirt, we've got these pepper plants over here, which were from the store-bought pepper. These are, I believe, bells. We will find out. But big, big plants. Beautiful. Huge leaves on them. Loads of blooms. And they are setting some fruit on them. And we have this random squash in here, and I think it's going to be turning out to be a red curry squash. We will find out, because I don't remember what I planted over here at this point, because I just planted the one, and we'll see what it does. But I do have some of the cinnamon basil that is coming up in here that I had planted. It is right here, a little small patch, and it is getting the little red veining in it, so looking forward to that. It's supposed to kind of smell like cinnamon. And then we've got the Chianti sunflowers, which are doing amazing, and the autumn beauties, also doing amazing, and the gray stripe. Going to look like they're going to be wonderful sunflowers. They'll be a little bit later this season, but they don't get very tall. These are the shorter varieties. And as you can see with the Kennebec potatoes, still putting on loads and loads and loads of growth, and not any sign of them dying back anytime soon. So I guess they will go out into the end of the season. They are usually a later potato. And then we will harvest them, see what we get, because I've already harvested a couple of plants and they've been really nice big potatoes. In fact, they're bigger than any of the other ones that I planted so far. Now we do have some gold potatoes in here. I don't remember if they're Yukon Gold or just gold. And these were from the organic bag of potatoes that I got, and I've updated a couple times on these. They're becoming beautiful plants. So I'm looking forward to seeing some potatoes on those. I did go ahead and get in here and hoe these, pulled some more dirt up around and over the tops of the plants, and they've already came out that far in just a few days. So amazing plants already. Looking forward to those. I did clean out everything over here in this section from where we had harvested a prior potatoes, the red Norlands, and I cleaned that out, and I only have like a little half row of some carrots back there, which are doing beautifully. And I'm just leaving that patch of ground at this point for the pumpkins. There are some white pumpkins in here, as you can see right there, and massive plants. You can see a pumpkin right there on the end of it. And we do have a pumpkin set over there. You can kind of see it peeking out right there. So we do have some white pumpkins coming along. It took a long time because this was the oldest plant and the one that I had left after the hailstorm of the white pumpkins. And it just took a massive amount of time for it to set a pumpkin on it. But once it set the pumpkin, it is getting bigger and bigger and bigger really fast. So looking forward to that. Corn doing very well. Corn at the back part that was shaded is catching up to the ones up front. So I think we might actually get something out of those because they still have a month to pull out and do something. But anyway, all the ones at the front are beginning to tassel now, and they're taller than I am. And these are the peaches and cream corn. So you can see some tassels in there. You can see that one right there, the very tallest plant, but all of the rest of them are getting tassels as well. So once they tassel, it only takes a couple of weeks for the ears to get ready at that point. So looking forward to some peaches and cream corn. As far as the watermelons go, I don't think they're going to be enough time. And again, it was just an experiment to see if we could. I got much larger plants this season than I've ever had before. And I think that if I just had not had the hailstorm and not had to plant so late, we probably would have had watermelons this year. So I'm going to try it again next season just because of that. And hopefully we get a good season where I can get them out early and not have a hailstorm that kills anything out. And the borage is becoming enormous, and I'm probably thinking it's going to bloom very soon. And it did not bother with the watermelons and things vining around it at all. Still came up large. I already gathered some radishes out of here. These are the smaller variety of radishes called an early, I think it was early top or something. So I have gotten those and still have more coming on. They kind of remind me of cherry bells, so I've been calling them cherry bells, to be honest. And I'll probably go ahead and harvest the rest of these and then pull the rest of the plants that did not make anything and get another round of radishes going on in here, because I'm finding out lots of things to do with radishes other than just eat them fresh. So that's that update on the radishes. And I discovered this morning while I was out here checking on the garden. I wanted to show everybody this. I had thought that I was a little behind on acorn squash, but it turns out that I'm not. Because I looked down in these plants, and it's going to take me a second here, and I had to move a whole bunch of stuff, and I was checking to see if I had any acorn squash, and turns out that I do. You can probably see it down in there. Look at that. And that is off of a store-bought acorn squash that I saved seed off of because I wanted to not let that go to waste. And oh goodness, it's hard to get the plants out of the way, but there you go. There you see that nice big acorn squash. It is already the size of a full acorn squash, and I have some more in here that I did notice that are a little bit less advanced. So I did not notice that one, but we are getting more in here. If you can see that other one down in there. And there's more all throughout. So doing great on that. As far as the Tahitian squash goes, we are getting some blooming now. So the male flowers are starting to bloom. I'm not sure at this point because the plants are so big if we have any female flowers that are blooming. But if there are, they will get pollinated because We have had pollinators like crazy coming in the last few days, and some honeybees and stuff are getting in here and pollinating things, but at this point the Tahitian squash is just everywhere. Huge plants, so I'm not sure if we'll have enough time to get huge Tahitian squash out of them, but it was a good experiment to find out exactly what's going on with these. They take 110 days, which I didn't realize. Alright, and so we have another cucumber over here. Now this one is beginning to get cucumbers on it. So we can see one right here. And this one I think is a poinsett, one of the last few that I had. So it does have a lot of blooms on it. I'm not really seeing a whole lot of female flowers, but I am seeing some male flowers. So hopefully we'll get some more cucumbers out of it. We have strawberries hanging that are ripe and ready to go. And more blooms on the sunflower. Remember the one that had 4. And loads and loads of tomatoes. These are the cherry tomatoes or the tiny Tims, and pear tomatoes. Loads and loads of those coming on. And an update on my cantaloupe. Yes, we have cantaloupe. And let me see if I can see myself. Sorry about all of the moving around, but it is kind of bright out here. So yes, we have cantaloupe. We have cantaloupe on every one of the plants. There you go. So cantaloupes in containers, you can do it. We even have one hanging right now on the Minnesota midget. Right there. So looking forward to those, especially to try the Minnesota midget. First time I've ever grown that one. And then we've got another poinsett cucumber here. And we do have female flowers and male flowers both on this one. So looking forward to that. Anyway, that is the update for today. And more peppers coming on this plant. Like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for notices on new videos as they come out. And we shall see you in the next one.